The Studenica monastery was built between 1183 and 1196 as the endowment of Grand Duke Stefan Nemanja. It was written, "This holy monastery of ours, as you may know, was but a plain game reserve. When our lord and ruler of the Serbian lands, Stefan Nemanja, had come to hunt here, it occurred to him that a monastery should be erected for the peace and satisfaction of monastic deeds." The monastery Studenica is a pearl of Serbian medieval architecture, the foundation of the Raška school of architecture. Once there were 14 churches within the monastery compound, of which today only 3 are preserved, namely the Church of Mother Goddess, Church of St. Nicholas and King's Church. The frescoes in the Church of Mother Goddess were done in 1209. After the departure of Stefan Nemanja to the Kelandari monastery in the Holy Mount, where he took the cloth, the final works in Studenica were supervised by his sons, Stefan I Crowned and Prince Vukan. The main dictator of these finishing works was Saint Sava. The paintings from that period have been preserved in a smaller degree, but belong to the highest achievements of the European painting of that era. Among the preserved scenes, certainly dominating is the crucifixion on the western wall of the church. The frescoes were done for the second time in 1569 by Master Longin, and they are also of high quality. The King's Church was built by King Milutin and dedicated to Saint Joachim and Anne. From the inscription in the roof base, it seems that the church was built in 1314 and also features very valuable frescoes. The current wooden iconostasis was made in 1837, painted by Živko Pavlović. However, parts of the original marble iconostasis have been preserved as well. Studenica is the burial place of Stefan Nemanja and his sons Stefan and Vukan, as well as his grandson Radoslav. There are also mortal remains of his wife, Anna, later known as nun Anastasia. The beautiful coffin that holds her remains was done in gold, silver and gemstones in 1996 by Deacon Vojislav Bilbija. Studenica was a cultural, spiritual and medical center of the medieval Serbia. Saint Sava was staying there from 1207 until the second decade of the 13th century, so it was here that he wrote the Studenica Typicon, which describes the life of his father Stefan Nemanja. The treasury of the monastery keeps the ring of Stefan I Crowned, wooden coffin for his mortal remains from 1608 decorated with sedef, Book of Gospels from the 15th century, as well as several charters and manuscripts. Also kept here is the cloak of Anthony of Heraclea embroidered with golden and silver strands from the 14th century, and the shroud for the coffin of Stefan I Crowned, the gift of Olivera Despina, daughter of Prince Lazar and wife of Sultan Bayezid I. In the vicinity of the monastery is the fasting cell of Saint Sava and also the Pridvorica church, which, according to the legend, was built by a servant of Stefan Nemanja around 1195. It was renovated in the 16th century, which is confirmed by the remaining pieces of frescoes in the upper segments of this monastery, dedicated to the Transfiguration of Jesus. Since 1986, the Studenica monastery has been under the protection of UNESCO. The monastery is located 57 kilometers from Kraljevo and 11 kilometers from the village of Ušće.